Always pro, and so we grow. Using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And Crystal, I am so happy to be back with you. Working in concert together.
I know, huh? We had a little stumbling block, a little hiccup, but we're all back together, and we're
Yes.
gonna have a great show today. I'm excited, and just just getting planned for and making plans for 2022. Even in the background where the Omicron and the coronavirus is raging rapidly, I feel like
Man.
we've been sent back to 2020. Although I don't know if people making 2021 or 2022 decisions like they were doing in 2020.
I think so.
I think not.
I think
But
that's what they're doing, man. So, and that's kind of crazy because every day you hear that Omicron has claimed how many lives and how many people are being tested positive, and it's just getting out of control.
well, yesterday, Dr. Mays came on the community briefing, and it's shocking, just shocking stats right now. So on Tuesday, 2 million people were in California. This is not across the country. This is in California. 2 million people tested positive for COVID,
You know,
and she
I,
says we haven't reached the peak.
I heard on the news last night, and I hope I was hearing wrong, and I hope they were reporting wrong. But I heard on the news last night that people were going out there and purposely trying to get COVID so they can get it over with. What are they thinking?
You're right, and they think that if I get it one time, they're under this impression that if I get it one time, I can't get it again. So I don't know. Somebody must have told them that nonsense because there's several people that have had it 2 times. But I know from your standpoint, I'm sure you don't want to go revisit none of that.
Oh no. Oh no. Because here's the thing. Each person, when they get that virus, it happens to them in a different kind of way. Even if you get it before, the second time you get it, it's not going to be the same way. Because it attacks your body in weird ways. It look for weaknesses in your body. You see what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
the weaknesses that you had before may not be the same weaknesses that are exposed this time around. So, they don't understand this. They may have it may have attacked someone's heart or lungs before. This time it
Right.
could attack your kidney, your liver. They don't know these things.
And your body would have been weakened from the previous experience that you had, right?
Exactly.
Especially if
Exactly.
you had some sort of underlining condition that you weren't aware of.
Yeah.
I just say why. That's to me. That's called playing Russian roulette, and that makes no
Yes.
sense to me. That just makes
Yes.
no sense to me.
When I
And
heard that on the news, I go, "Are these people for real? Are they serious?"
they're serious. They're serious. They think that one, if I get it once, I'm immune for life. I will never get it again, which is a lie. And two, oh, they say that Omicron is milder than Delta or the coronavirus or whatever that first one, the coronavirus. But however, you have no clue whether or not that's true when it comes to your body.
Exactly. And
So
like I say, it attacks different parts of your body because it's looking for that weakness.
Right, is looking for that weakness. So I think it's just ridiculous. I even heard this morning on the news, and it was contradicted later on in the afternoon. So I heard on the news that LA Unified, they were talking to the district whomever, and so she was feeling that it was better for the kids to be in school. They were safer. They had better testing and da 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 da. Right. Then I later on at noon, I'm doing the Nifty program, the YEC for the kids, right? So we're
Hmm.
doing that with 13 other organizations or 14 other organizations, and some of those are schools. So the
Yeah.
schools couldn't be on today for our update meeting. Why? Because half of them are out of school for COVID, including not just the kids, but also the teachers. So one person jumped on and said, "I got to run. We have half our school is out. Half
Wow.
the school is out. So
It
why
is
is that
ridiculous.
safer than it?" But again, it's all it comes down, Gilbert. It comes down to those dollars, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the schools need butts in the seat,
Hmm.
and COVID is not giving them butts in the seat, and
Right.
so they, to me, is willing. They're willing to put your child at risk
Yeah.
and make it a casualty of war. I just don't understand it. I had somebody say, well, they said with this Omicron that everybody's going to get it anyway, so what's the big deal? No, that ain't on my list at all. I don't want it. I'm not going to claim it. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, well, I'll just, no, not doing anything. I don't like being sick. That's me. I just don't like being sick at all.
I
And
hear you, man.
if it's going to cost me money or it's going to take money out of my pocket, I
Yeah.
shall pass.
I hear that. I hear that.
I will pass. I see Theodora's in the green room. I hope she's in
Yeah.
the green room.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So, how was your week back to your first week? Really, your first week
Well,
in?
my first week back was it was happy, joyful, glorified because I was able to get back to work. But man, as I got back there, I had to catch up from first week of December until now. So I had a lot of stuff I had to do, which is fine. I mean, it's a lot more than I could handle,
Uh
but
huh.
it was good. It was good to know that I'm able to call and talk to clients again and help them solve their problem, do prepare for classes, upcoming classes and training. So that was good. That was very good.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
mine was this was kickoff week for class for workshops and webinars. So
Yeah.
I had three of them this week, and then of course
Plus you got biz camp, right?
I got Biz Camp on Saturday. We are now I think at 18 kids,
Oh wow.
and so the marketing is going well, and I have getting clients ready for tax season. So getting
Mm-mm-mm.
I have to do. I have a client that's going public, so we're in the thick of things. So when I get off today, I work till like 1 o'clock this morning, and
Wow.
trying to finish up the last quarter for them. And then I will work probably to about 12, 1 o'clock tonight, trying to finish up the last 2 months. I have to do reconcile two bank accounts, three,
Wow.
no, three, yeah, two bank accounts. And then we're trying to get the statements for one of the third bank accounts. So got to get all that done by next week.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then of course the clients that I have to do their 1099, so we got to get all that together. So the first quarter for me, or the first month or two in January, in the new year, is always
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
intense. I had to so I got a couple things off the calendar. The crazy uh a report that you were really truly unemployed in 2020, even though the whole country verified that the whole country was shut down. So therefore, you have to verify that you were truly unemployed during that time.
This is like ridiculous, man. This is so ridiculous. To me, it's a waste of time. you got to prove to them that they didn't give you any money. And they're the ones who know whether they gave you money or not.
Right. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Or the ones that truly were could not work. I read a pretty a horror story actually. This poor lady, she lost her husband, she lost her mother. I think she lost a child. Um, her home was burnt down.
Wow.
She actually was a vendor at like street festivals, and so of course in 2020 all of that shut down until 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So none of her documents to prove that she was actually self-employed is
Oh, wow.
available to her because everything burnt down in her trailer, in her home.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
now she is on tap to pay $30,000 because she can't prove that
Man, that is
that's.
ridiculous, man.
And so, of course, and the other ones were saying the same thing. So, of course, they don't have the money sitting around because they used the money to stay alive during that
Yeah,
time. I just insane. I don't know. This world has gone bonkers.
yeah.
And that's a nice word that I can say online.
I hope she finds an attorney that is skillful enough to sue them and win, because one, it's a waste of time. Two, they know a lot of people weren't working, people were laid off. Three, they told people to stay home and not leave and go work anywhere. And four, every one of us, when we applied for the bogus unemployment check, they denied us and tell us that, oh, the system is not working, your paperwork is not working, and you need to reapply, or you need to wait so they can sort some things out. They know the problem is on their side. I hate when, you know the government does things like
Yeah,
that.
and the same thing with the PPP. There are people who, now my understanding, and I actually have documentation that proves this fact, that the PPP was for salary, utilities, and mortgaging, right?
Yeah,
Mortgages, right? Pay
yeah,
your rent and stuff,
right,
right? So
right.
then there are people who are being told that you have to pay back because you got too much money. First of all, it wasn't like you were allocating the money to yourself. They had
Right.
to allocate the money to you. And how could you, how could you, this is what you said it was for. So they're basically saying, no, it was only for payroll.
I think it's a strategy they use, because right now they're saying they have a surplus. They're saying California has a surplus of money in their budget. So that's the surplus right there, because they never paid anyone their unemployment. And and the ones who they decided to pay are people in prison who weren't even
Right.
eligible for unemployment anyway. So
So does that mean because you can't get it back from them, then you're gonna take it from us? I don't. It's just some insanity,
it is
man. It
ridiculous.
is it's just crazy. I don't know. It's just we're in some very we're just in some crazy times right now. Just
Yeah,
just insane. And the little
yeah.
man, of course, is
Is
always
always
doing
getting
right.
stepped on. They're always stepping on our throat.
Yeah.
There's
So it's
nothing
just
we can do about it but to take the stepping and die.
So but what we're going to do is just do what we do to help small businesses. Um, just make sure that they're ready, and that even if there is another shutdown, that it really shouldn't affect your business.
And
That's
it's a possibility that it may get to that again, where they decide they're going to uh, maybe not a total shutdown, but a partial, because they're already making some claims and saying some things out there in the community. So it might be a partial shutdown, but
I'm thinking possibly.
yeah, so we need to be prepared and ready for that just in case, and how we're gonna juggle getting our customers to still support us. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, I don't see why we should have been jumping the gun anyway,
Yeah.
going to a live platform, and we should have continued on, in my opinion, continued on where we were.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think that this is going to be a way of life. I
Yeah.
think it's one of those options. We can meet in person, preferably not, or we can meet on the phone, or we can meet via a video. I don't think this video online thing is going to go away. That's
Oh
what my
no,
personal opinion.
this is a new norm. Even when normalcy comes back, we're gonna be doing this because
Right.
this is cost effective. I mean, time efficient. You don't have to drive and fight in traffic to go sit somewhere. Plus you're not exposed to people with viruses and all of that.
I
So,
like working this way myself. I
oh
don't see
yeah,
anything wrong. I love this way
yes, yes,
personally. I
definitely,
think you could get so much more done.
definitely,
I was
definitely.
on a call. I was on a call the other day, and somebody was in France,
Hmm.
having they were attending the webinar. Like,
See, that's
when
what I'm
could that
saying.
happen, right?
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. And they could probably be in their pajamas in their bed attending that seminar. So that's a good thing.
Exactly.
And
Right. Exactly.
that's why I'm hoping that a lot of our small businesses took the tips and pointers we gave last week on the business zone about preparing for 2022 and how to go about planning and changing what they've done wrong in 2021 and and start converting that to opportunities and action plans for 2022.
Right, and making sure that they're incorporating in the opportunities that will come along, that's coming along with doing this. Stop fighting having to be online and look at it for what it really is. It's an opportunity to really expand your brand, expand your opportunities, get your product to a broader marketplace, and it's just a more efficient way, I think, of doing business.
And this is a quick announcement I would like to make. If you are a small business, a black restaurant operator in the Los Angeles area, Los Angeles and surrounding areas, and if you would like to participate at the Super Bowl 2022 at the SoFi Stadium, I would like you guys, and I'm going to put my information up there. It might be a little late now, but we'll see. Because I just submitted a list today to PepsiCo. They were looking for black restaurant operators so they can have them participate in a tasting event. So,
Hmm.
when you go to the Super Bowl, there are going to be all kinds of vendors there. So, some of these vendors are going to be there providing tasting of food and that type of thing, and PepsiCo will pay them. So, that's what this is all about. So, if you're a black restaurant operator in Los Angeles or surrounding area, I'm going to put my information in the chat and you contact me and I'll see if I can add you to the list. Now, I submitted that list earlier today to PepsiCo, but if they allow us to do an addendum, then I can add you to that list, and perhaps your business could be one of those at the SoFi Stadium at Super Bowl, participating in that event and making some money.
I like that idea. That's a good announcement. There's some other great things going on. I think I got an email today, from Robin Dillup, that there are scholarships out there for women, young women who have businesses. So reach out to me. We'll put our contact information in the chat room. Reach out and I can get that information to you. So again, these are those opportunities. But today our show is about one. We are our The theme for this month is making sure that we've created plans, positioning our business for success in 2022. That's our thing. But we have a guest today that we're going to talk about how it takes planning to be successful. And I chatted with her today, just to cover what we were going to talk about. Um, And so we were chuckling, and she, she's a stickler for the to making sure that rules are followed and systems are in place. So I think this she would be she's going to be an excellent guest today, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we have to do. We have to be very intentional for the future. We can't just be out here lackadaisical doing business,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to be ready for business. We have to be ready, no matter what the circumstances is. So if we go back into shutdown, we still should be already ready, right? Because
Yeah.
we didn't had 2 whole years where we've been. That's all we've been doing with these people, with our
Right.
businesses, is helping them plan for what happens post pandemic. Well, we haven't got to post pandemic, but those
Mm-hmm.
plans should be able. We should be able to carry them out, and start executing before we even get to the post. Because again, we have no control. There's certain things we have no control over,
Right. Right. Right.
and so
and
that's what we're talking about
and
today.
that's what we want small businesses to understand, that we don't really control anything. And when you're not in control, you want to be in the ready mode at all times. Be prepared, so when something goes down, you can be flexible enough to ride with the wave and make it happen for you.
I think that's absolutely correct, Gilbert. So, guys, everyone, if you just tuned in, you are tuned into the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. I'm Crystal.
And Gilbert Buchanan.
And you can check us out on Facebook Live. We are streaming live on Facebook, and we stream live on YouTube. So go over to either one of those. Put your comments in the comment section. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get involved. Get connected. We are ready to make sure that all of our businesses are operating for success and not just surviving. We want our businesses to thrive.
We want to make sure all of our businesses are operating on the full 8 cylinders. No 6 cylinder, no 4 cylinders. You are on 8 cylinders in turbo mode. You are in turbo mode. So that's what we're trying to do here with you guys.
I like that
And
turbo
yeah,
mode.
yeah, we're in turbo mode right now. We can't half step, or let's get that business tuned up properly, man. Let's get it running.
I like that. I like that, Gilbert. So with that, I think our guest is in the chat. If you're ready, any other announcements you want to make, or
Let's check and see. No, we're pretty excited to bring in our guest right now. So, Miss Theodora Oyie.
yeah, we
So,
need her. She's adjusting her camera and everything. So
so
hopefully
she, so she's standing by.
she's
Okay.
standing by. There's still, I think she's still trying to get that. We don't see your camera, and we don't see you, Theodora. So
So
hopefully,
while she's doing her adjustment, we can talk a little bit about her, Miss Theodora Oyie. She is the CEO and owner for Mindful Integration Construction Services, Management Services,
yes.
and she has done quite a bit of work in this community. Anyone who knows her knows that she has been one of those people in charge of the Forum Stadium out there in Inglewood. She was
Oh,
she was a project manager on that project over
oh,
there.
I
So
didn't know that. Well,
oh
oh,
yeah, she is a powerhouse in this community, man. She
oh,
made
she's
things
so
happen.
humble.
Yeah,
So humble. I've
yeah,
never heard her mention that.
yeah, Miss Theodora. Oh yeah, man, she is phenomenal. So she worked on that project. She was a project manager of it. So she worked with the primes, the subcontractors, work with other suppliers and material suppliers on a project, and she made sure that thing runs smoothly. She also made sure that the the time frame was closely adhered to. So they finished our project on time because of her leadership. And
Oh,
she'll tell you about other projects that she's worked on, like in Pasadena, the Rose Bowl, and some others. So she's a phenomenal lady.
oh,
She's a
she's a
phenomenal lady.
powerhouse. So
Oh
while she's
yes.
Theodora, you may have to go out and come back in because we're not seeing your
Yeah, we're
camera.
not
Oh, there
seeing.
you
Oh,
are. There
there
she
she
is. We
is.
see her. So
There she
there
is.
we go. Hello.
Can, can you adjust down your camera a little bit so we can see your face some more? Can you?
And I'm
There
there we
you
go.
go. All right.
So I am going to
So
read her. You want to read her bio?
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
So
I want that woman's touch.
okay. So Gilbert just let me know that you've been humble about your what you do out there. So now I'm gonna look at you differently. So, Theodora brings over 20 years of construction management experience and leading projects to develop, administer, and monitor workforce programs for targeted local work for hire, procurement for diverse and disadvantaged business subcontracting, operations marketing, labor compliance, and project pursuits. So now what she did not say in all of this lovely stuff that she talks about. Talks about some of the projects she worked on. She says community-based organizations,
Yeah.
faith-based organizations, and trade partners among some of the others. She did not say anything about working on
I'm the
the
forum,
forum.
the Rose Bowl. She, she's all humble, but I'm the bragger. I'll brag about her.
Well, you go, girl.
So
Thank you.
welcome to the Business Zone, Miss Theodora Oyie, and we're very happy to have you here. And our small businesses out there and contract providers, I'm sure they're going to have a treat listening to you today. Welcome to the
Thank you.
Business Zone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am so tickled. I'm very excited. Very excited and happy that you guys invited me into your living room, that you are extending your platform to me, and Happy New Year, first of all.
Happy New
Happy
Year
New
to
Happy New
Year.
Year
you.
to you
An
as
exciting
well.
day. So
So,
thank
so
you.
I'm curious. Like again, you're so humble.
Well, you know what? I like for me, it's most important for my to me. I prefer to have my work speak for me. So generally,
Okay.
I don't speak about me. That's why I don't I don't talk about me. You're right. I do talk about the projects. I make sure that the projects, all my projects are exceeding, whatever the goals happen to be, whether they are procurement goals, whether they're local worker hire goals, whatever the goals are, we see to it that we crush it. We always make sure that we crush it. So,
But I
um,
think it's so important that when we're women and we're doing something that looks traditionally a male
mm,
job, I
mm,
think we do have to uplift our sisters that are out there really doing amazing work. And
mm.
so to be congratulated for that, right?
Oh,
One,
thank you.
just based upon what we're talking about, planning and systems. So obviously you have to have had those in place, even to be selected to be that project manager for some of the projects that you've been on. So we can be humble and our work can speak for us, but I think we also should pat ourselves on the back, especially in as women, because we don't
Mhm.
always get the acknowledgement for what we do in our business, especially if we are providing excellence in our businesses. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So Theodora, tell us a little bit about the Forum Project, because everybody, America, the world wants to know about this project. They want to know, how did you get involved in the project and how did you bring it to fruition and stayed on schedule?
Wow. Okay.
She's
This is
like, wow.
that's a big, huge question. So first of all, it was a team effort. So I didn't handle the schedule part. I handled the local worker participation aspects, And I also helped with diversity procurement, the minority and small business participation, aspects of the project.
Well,
So I helped.
first of all, maybe you can go back a little bit and let
Sure.
the audience know what the forum project was about, who some of the funders are on that project, because there's a lot of big money on that project from Madison Square Garden and all of that. So, just let the audience know a little bit about that.
Well, that was such a long time ago. So
I know.
anyway, the project. Okay, so a few years ago, several years ago, I worked for a general contractor named Clark Construction, and so I
Mm-hmm.
helped Clark Construction win that project. Meaning that when the company decided to pursue that project, it was my responsibility to put together, develop a strategy and an implementation plan for both the local hire parts aspect of the work, as well as the minority and small business participation goals for that particular project. At the time, Inglewood was definitely not what it is right now. The building was owned, the forum was owned by Faithful Central Church,
Mm-hmm.
and they were not, using it the way they would have preferred to use it. And so Madison Square Garden ended up buying it. And so during the purchase of the project, I helped my ex-employer. I'm no longer with Clark. I helped my ex-employer through the various strategies that I put together. I helped my ex-employer win the job.
Mm.
It was $100 million project to renovate the forum from top to bottom. And
Wow.
so very excited about that project. And that project gave me and gave my team opportunities to really build partnerships with the leadership at Madison Square Garden, as well as the leadership with the city of Inglewood. And, of course, many community-based organizations, because I live in LA. And so, and I used to go to Bible study from time to time, classes at Faithful Central. And so it was, for me, it was a no brainer. And so we did an amazing job. I'm very, very grateful. That project, the renovation of the forum, again, from top to bottom, from foundation to replacing the roof. So I was like walking all aspects of that project. I was actually had pictures of me on the roof on that project. So anyway, um, so what we did, we just saw to it that the 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 Inglewood community, local residents actually benefited, actually showed up, and that set up the stage. That set up, the foundation for all the work that's happening in Inglewood right now. With SoFi Stadium coming in, and and everything else that's being built, because a lot of the local hire and minority business participation, small business participation successes that
Mm.
happened during the renovations of the forum. Those were the blueprints for what happened at SoFi. And so
so
the mayor got really, in depth with that.
So, what was your local worker participation success rate on that project?
Okay. So we,
Was
okay.
it 40? Was it 40%, 50%?
Well,
Because
the goal, no, I believe the goal was 15%. Because you see, Inglewood only has, I believe, 4 or 5 zip codes, if I
right,
remember
Yeah.
correctly. And
yeah.
Yes. 5, I
so,
think.
yeah, and so we needed to make sure that those 4 or 5 zip codes were fully represented in the workforce,
Right,
and that they took precedence. We didn't
right.
want to have other zip codes or inundate
So
Inglewood,
what?
because again.
So I want to make sure the audience know that you were able to successfully get local workers involved in that project, and they exceeded the goal on
Of
that project.
course,
I
of
know,
course.
I know you don't want to pat yourself on the shoulder, but I'm patting you. I'm patting you
Okay,
right now.
so Thank you, Gilbert. What happened is that project. Again, going back to a few years back, Inglewood was in a was in a funk, for lack of a better
Hmm.
word. It was no longer the city of champions that we've always known Inglewood to be,
Yeah.
and there was nothing happening in Inglewood.
Right.
There were no businesses or industries that were really engaging the community. And
Hmm.
so what the forum did is it galvanized the community. And
Yeah.
that project, along with the Coliseum and maybe and also the Rose Bowl, there's a couple of projects that I've done, that, when you mentioned that you're working on them, people immediately start smiling and they start telling you about memories they have about it. So every time it was when, for example, the forum was one of the first ones where you tell people that you're working on the forum and they start telling you about a concert that they went to when they were in high school. They were, I mean, I sort of got all walks of lives, all
Yeah.
ethnicities. I mean, it was just the most beautiful, beautiful thing. Um, so yeah, I don't remember exactly what all the numbers were, but I know we did at least, double what the goal was.
Which is
Exactly.
great. Which
Yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
great because that's unheard of. It's this is great.
Well, we
So
see
let
the
me
thing is,
ask. I'm
go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no, go
No,
ahead.
I was asked how did if a young person or was coming out of college and have all their credentials in place and they've been toying around with doing what you do, what would be that
Mhm.
process and what was your journey? How did you get to where you are today?
Wow. My journey. Well, which one do you want me to answer first?
Your journey.
My journey. Okay, so my journey is interesting in the sense that I'm an immigrant, came from
Okay.
Cameroon,
Oh,
West
wow.
Africa, and went to school here in LA, bounced around a little bit. My family had a tough time adjusting to the US.
Mhm.
We had never heard English. It came from the French speaking part of Cameroon. So I had never heard English until I was about 13. So
Wow.
yeah. And so again, we grew up here in LA. Went to school in Riverside. I was one of those little kids. I was a nerdy girl way back when. So yeah. So I spent some time in foster care because again my family had a tough time adjusting here and my mother couldn't help. There were certain things that were just, very difficult.
Yeah,
So we ended
difficult.
up in
Mhm.
foster care
Mm.
and I used that to, really fuel me to go to college. So I went to college. Oh, got a whole bunch of I met teachers, counselors, guidance counselors, and teachers and folks like that who helped me go to college and get
Mm.
scholarships. And so I went to UC Riverside,
Okay.
and yeah, and I graduated from UC Riverside in 4 years. And so while I was at UC Riverside, I worked as I was illegal at the time. All my paperwork was not in order yet. And so I worked cleaning houses while I was in college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I cleaned houses.
That's the
And
true story right there.
so I left Riverside. So when I left Riverside, of course, the economy was not exactly the best, but I came back to LA and worked in various customer service type roles, whether it was retail or working for um, a couple of researchers at UCLA or something. I just
Hmm.
did a lot of. I decided not to go to med school. I initially wanted to go to med school, but I decided not to go to med school,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so and I'm grateful I didn't go. I figured I can continue. I can help in other capacities because my goal was always to be, to help. So, but I wasn't exact. I didn't know what other ways I could help. So I'm grateful that I
Okay.
landed where I landed. Um, so I worked different types of jobs. I worked for the dot coms for a while. Worked again at UCLA, and so it wasn't until I bought a building when my son in '98. and I was
Mhm.
fixing my building. I was a fourplex, a 4 unit apartment building here in LA. And from there, after fixing it and managing it, I decided, I can do this. I can do more of this. I can do this. I can do this on a bigger scale.
Wow.
And so I started looking for additional training. So I took
Mhm.
some classes at LA Community College, and then I also went LA Trade Tech. I went to LA Trade Tech for a little bit. I took a couple classes there, and then I went through the Ross USC Ross Minority Developer Program because I thought I wanted to be a developer because I
Mhm.
thought it was looking more and more that I wanted to be a developer, but just I knew I was headed, in certain spots. And so when I got there, I was like, a big part of being a developer is raising money. And
Right.
so I was not inclined to do that. I
Okay.
had a young child, I had a baby actually, and I was like, no, it's not going to work. Let's find another way of contributing towards construction or and engaging communities and what have you. And so that's how I landed um, in the diversity and inclusion space.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And so with that, I started helping my ex-employer win work and exceed goals on just turn the company's profile. You
Mhm.
know, with certain owners, especially with owners and with communities. Because one of my first projects was East LA High School 2, which is now known as Esteban Torres High School.
Right.
And
Right.
it's in
Mhm.
East LA, and it was the first high school built in East LA in 80 years. In
Wow.
80 years.
Wow.
So it was an
So
exciting project. Go
so
ahead.
Theodora, I'm gonna read a sentence to you,
Okay.
and I would like you to expound on this sentence for me,
Okay.
okay?
Go for it.
If you're a developer in Los Angeles with a
Mm-hmm.
major project,
Okay.
think think stadium, entertainment complex, or mixed use,
Mhm.
and you want your project to get the community's blessing, the first person you need to contact is Theodora Oyie, MBA 18. Tell me about that. Tell
Okay.
me about that.
I'm happy to do that.
That's
So one of
that's
the
that's on the internet, just so you know it. Okay.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, yes. Okay. So one of the yes, you definitely need to call me. I'm happy to talk with you. I'm happy to see to it that your project is successful. I'm happy to see to it that the community embraces your project, and that it just the spirit of inclusion that this city, that this region um, is championing is reflected on your project. So one of
Man,
the
she is so humble, man. She's still not
Well,
doing
you
the
know
things.
though,
So
but that's why I asked her what her journey was, and now I understand the humbleness.
yes,
So for
I mean,
someone to work as hard as you did from the humble beginnings that you started at, but you had obviously a plan and a vision, and you kept
yes,
chipping away at that plan and that vision.
right.
And it seems to me a lot of times when you're from other countries, you have that vision and you don't let go of it, right? When you're an immigrant in another country and
Mhm.
you're having really to start from scratch with no connections, no family, no
Mhm.
anything, you
Mhm.
tend to stay at that. And I so now I totally understand her her humbleness because
man.
that journey alone is just amazing. And she took it step by step by step. And I'm just in awe. And
It,
you popped on several shows of mine and conversations and webinars, and I had no idea. And
you,
so,
you
but now
see
I
you
totally
see
understand.
you see that statement that I just read?
Uh
That
huh.
statement is in conjunction with USC. So there's a project she was doing
Oh,
at USC, and I think the reporter probably interviewed her, and the reporter said that. So those things I just said, I didn't just make it up. The reporter, the reporter and USC, the project manager on that project, they're the ones that are saying this. I'm looking at it right now.
thank you.
So tell me about that project at USC.
Okay. So thank you so much again it's not instinctive for me to for lack of a better word talk about my accomplishments. I mean
we know.
they just don't rattle off. Again, I prefer, it's easiest for me, not so much I prefer, and it's easiest for me to talk about work, other people and
Yeah.
what have you, not necessarily myself. So I'm not I'm not trying to be evasive.
Right, right,
I
right, right.
apologize if it comes across that way in any
Oh, no,
way.
no, no, no.
Um, okay,
That's
so
okay. I'll brag about you. That's okay. I'm happy to brag about you.
thank
So,
you.
so tell us about that USC project that they feel so strongly about you in a good way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So USC, that you're talking about the USC Village project. And
Yes.
so I was recruited for the USC Village project.
Crystal, can you click on the link and bring up that project? I sent you the link right now
You
by
sent me the link?
email.
Okay.
Yeah, just
All right.
click on it and bring up the project while she's talking about it so the
Okay.
uh,
audience can see the massive scope of that project because our project is not a plaything. That's
no,
like a major project, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
USC Village.
Yes, USC spent about $700 million to build a brand new state-of-the-art dormitory and uh, mini mall, I guess you would, campus center, and right across the street. And they tore down an old little strip mall that used to be right across the street called the USC Village as well. And so this new project that we built was amazing. It was unbelievable. I believe it was like 9 buildings, and we just the university spared no expense. No expense. I mean, the kinds of dorms that there
Yeah,
goes my
there it
brother.
is. There
Yeah.
it is.
The kinds of projects that the university, the kinds of amenities that the university put in place um, for that project were extraordinary. So I was brought on board by my ex-employer to help them fix the project was not meeting any goals. The goals for USC Village for local hire were 30%. They wanted at least 30% of the workforce to come from the city and the county of LA, and that was not happening. That was
Mm.
not happening at all with the people who had been initially hired to do that job. And so somehow, some way, at the time I was working for the helping the LA Community College District get out of the moratorium for mismanaging bond funds, many, and not doing local worker hire on any of the projects that any of the campus projects that were being built. So anyway, I was brought to help a USC Village, and I'm very grateful that um, many of the partnerships throughout the community, many of the partnerships with the unions, my engagement with the various subcontractors were win-win all the way across, so that we turned around the negative profile, the negative just the outcry. Just people were very upset. People were very, very upset initially that this massive transformational project was happening in South LA, but was not delivering on the local hire goals or the small business goals, the minority owned business goals that USC had committed to. So using working, night and day working night and
Mm.
day, we changed, everything. The project turned around. The local hire participation numbers first of all, they weren't even keeping tabs. They didn't even know what to do. They weren't doing anything. And so by the time we were done, local worker hire on USC Village, I believe, ended up being around 75%. And again, the goal was 30. So I was
So
very,
you
very,
you exceeded that project 2.5 times over.
So let me ask this question because that's always, I'm going to share something else, Gilbert, that I found. That's always something that they're saying, well, we can't find the
mhm.
local hires that are
Right,
qualified.
right.
So how do you address that when we hear that every time that they're going to build a project, that
Yeah.
there are no people in that, no local hires, which is why we have to go outside of the community or outside of the state. So how do you address that?
I fortunately, it's not true flat out
Okay.
that they can't find local residents. It's not true at
Okay.
all. Never been. I seriously doubt that it will ever be, but I know for
Mm.
sure it has never been. Number two, I'm grateful that I have made it my mission to just develop partnerships with all kinds of community-based organizations, the communities that champion folks who came from disadvantaged backgrounds like mine. Like you mentioned earlier, Crystal, I didn't have any connections. I didn't have anywhere. I didn't have any connections anywhere. I didn't know about certain industries or what have you, or what
Mhm.
exists and this and that and the other. It's only been literally by the grace of God that, I've been able to connect with people who would open my eyes to this and that and the other. And so one of the things that I have done since particularly since I graduated college, has been to really go out there and make sure that I find out who is doing what in the community, and really connect them to the opportunities, because it's been transformational to see, when you're able to see people from, from really, really, from a really tough spot in their lives, to
Mhm.
seeing how to seeing them move in a different way.
Right.
It's there are just no words. So I've made it so my work puts a human face to the numbers when it comes to construction. It puts a human face to the communities wherever the projects happen to be built. You know, I go to homeless shelters.
Mm.
I've got partnerships with community, with those kinds of community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, a lot of reentry, a lot of women's groups, all kinds of organizations that, um, that are focused on really, really helping folks move forward, whether it's small businesses, women-owned businesses, and I mean, we're in LA, in LA County. We are just super, super, super blessed, um, in the sense that at least many of the public and private projects that we work on have obligations. They have policies in place to actually facilitate local worker hire, facilitate, diversity and inclusion and equity. A lot of places don't. uh, Places like Ventura, they don't have, Ventura County, they don't have, you can't have a project, and you can't demand local hire on many, for example, projects in Ventura County, because it's not part of the city or the county bylaws. They will not allow it. But here
Oh
in LA
wow.
County, we are literally, um, I mean, I helped my ex-employer win, using USC Village, which was a privately financed project. They had local hire, provisions to meet. Same thing with, my ex, what another private project that I, helped my ex-employer win, which was the Lucas Museum in right here in downtown LA. Again, they
Mhm.
too, a privately financed project, has local worker hire obligations, has, diverse business participation. Again, these kinds of things didn't exist way back when. So we are lucky in the sense that we got a lot of work in our region. I'm very excited that this platform is about helping small businesses get put their best foot forward. And so, to your point early on, Crystal, where you were saying, both you, Crystal, and Gilbert, both of you were saying that we need to take this time, this really, really take this time to really make sure that the back office is in order, that our marketing, plans and campaigns are really, targeted and spot on. We got the insurance paperwork in order. We've, various insurance policies that we need to have: general liability, professional insurance, whatever applies, or auto liability, whatever applies to, workman's comp. Just making sure your stuff, your company's stuff, is in order. Because what you don't want to do is, you know, um, miss out on opportunities because the paperwork is not in order. I mean, small businesses are crushed by that kind of stuff happening all the time. So definitely, that's one of the things I spend a lot of time on, just making sure that folks understand how critical paperwork is, how critical the relationships, strategic alliances. So this is another thing we could be doing right now. A lot of small businesses, identifying which primes, which projects you want to work on, and really making sure that you you're not in a position to be denied.
Mm.
you know
Yeah, it seems like and you've worked. I mean, Lucas Museum is absolutely beautiful. I saw that you worked on some metro projects and some other things. When you Google your name, now I see everything that you've done. And that's pretty awesome. But I like the fact that you don't just take, if they tell you no, there's no local hires, because we all
Mm,
hear that. You
mhm,
don't take that as face value. You know that there are, and then you go out and do your connecting and networking to make sure that you bring those people to the table. So both Joe and I are business coaches, and one of the things that our mission and our vision is to ensure that businesses are business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. So how can we help you be able to identify those companies that are ready to engage in some of the projects that you're doing? Because it seems like the community needs to be stepping up, or our community based organizations stepping up
mhm.
to help you identify who those businesses are.
Absolutely. Thank you for offering the help. I accept all help. And so one of the first things we want to do is we want to identify the trades, because most of the work that I do is construction centric. And so for the small businesses, I'd like to definitely make sure that I know that, Gilbert and Small Biz Pro can definitely see to it that their paperwork is in order. Okay, help them get their paperwork in order. And
Mm-hmm.
number two, the second big piece would be to identify the various projects that are coming up, because again, there's so much work that's in the pipeline, but unfortunately, a lot of folks are not organized. So, as far as the small businesses, it would help a lot to identify what projects do you want to work on. Because one of the things that that my company does, fortunately, so I started my company and I named it Mindful Integration of Construction Services. So one of the reasons I chose that name is because diversity and inclusion generally is tends to be an afterthought when
Mm.
it comes to big projects. It has not until this George Floyd, nightmare situation. Generally, it's all diversity and inclusion have been in corporate America and major project constructions. It's been an afterthought. So mindful to me is very intentional.
Mm.
So I want
Okay.
diversity and inclusion to be very intentional, something that we're working on simultaneously while we're putting together the budget, simultaneously when we're putting together the schedule, simultaneously when we're putting together the safety plan for a specific project. These are like the key, elements, because we've seen projects that were denied because the diversity and the community were not involved. And
Mm.
so, or the projects were derailed. And so, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the community benefits from the project that's being built or that are being built, and it's a win-win for everybody involved. It's I can't tell you how powerful it is to hear children or even people, adults, say, I built that, I did that, and I'm grateful that the fact that I live here, I'm able from time to time, like run into people at the store, grocery store, or the gas station or whatever, and people come to me, and especially children, they want to, like, or people want to show their parents. Like, I had people, people, grown men want to take their mother and show their mother or their father that they worked on this project, on a project here in LA. People
Right.
underestimate what that does to somebody's spirit.
Because it's a
Really do.
legacy. I mean,
Mm.
long after you're gone, anything that your name has been attached to. I remember my great my uncle, yeah, my uncle they lived in Alabama. He built the town. He built a lot of the businesses, the communities, the neighborhood, the housing developments in the town that they grew up in. And so the street that my grandmother and my aunt and uncles lived on was called Haviland Drive. Well, that was my cousin's name. So he built that area, and then I was with my cousin recently, yeah, last year, and we went, and my cousin was taking me around to all of the neighborhoods that his father had built,
Mm.
and that's such a sense of pride, right? So I can understand that you worked on this project. This building is going to be here until they tear it down, and even then, the landmark is already there, right? Even if they take it away, when you go back to look at pictures from that time frame, your
Mhm.
building is going to be there. The Lucas
Exactly.
Museum is going to be there. The
Yeah.
Metro, if that's what you worked on, the
Right.
Forum, no matter what's going on around.
Mhm.
So that's such a sense of pride to see that your work actually were achieved and documented. I mean,
Yeah.
Gilbert and I, we won't see that. We know we work for all the people, we work for all these companies and all these people, but our fingerprints will not be known to the public.
Mm.
Right.
Right,
That's
Gilbert?
that's why we're bragging about you so much, because we've seen your fingerprints all over this town, and we want to make sure it's known.
Thank
Because
you.
a lot of our ancestors, man, they built stuff and they've created stuff, and their fingerprint were not broadcast. It was not spoken about, so we think it's
That's true.
built by somebody else. So
Okay.
that's why we got to make sure we talk about this so people know who the true stewards are of those programs. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
you. I appreciate that.
yeah, I think that's and I think young people could learn so much from you.
Mhm.
Just knowing that if I wanted to go into urban planning, or if I wanted to be a developer, or
Mhm.
this is what I need to do in order to start out right, right?
Okay.
Making sure I start with the right foundation and be
Mhm.
able to expound on it, and especially young women and young
Mhm.
immigrants, to see the journey that you've come through, and look what you've done. So you may be behind the scenes, but you've created the forefront is something
Mhm.
that's timeless, that will be here forever. And I today she and I were talking, and she was telling me I'm anal. She's anal, and I understand how important that is in the space that you're in, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because you have to have certain standards. What are some of the excuses they do give you when they decline to work with with minority construction companies, or local hires?
Usually it's very disrespectful excuses. It just
Mm,
various just stereotypes. Nothing
We
but
can't we
mm,
stereotypes.
can't we can't find anyone.
Well,
Or
that's a convenient one. It's usually something along the lines of they don't know the work, they can't do the work, they don't have the experience, and
yeah.
it's usually a matter of it's fundamentally an issue of not wanting to share the wealth. That's usually what it is. Because I've
mm.
seen on many occasions small businesses that whose ownership doesn't look like any of us at this, on this platform, brought
Mhm.
on major projects and literally handheld every step of the way so that they learn how to do the job on a bigger platform that they would never extend to somebody, who owns
A
a similar
minority
business.
company.
Yeah, yeah. Or a woman owned business, even,
Yeah.
a white woman owned business. So I think that's another thing that a lot of, yeah, that demographic also doesn't understand. So it's usually disrespectful. They just don't want to share the wealth. And so this is where I say that it's it's um, it's a tremendous blessing that we are in LA County, and the city of LA, the county of LA, both are saying that local hire, diverse business participation are not optional. That these are very, very much the order of the day. As far as doing
Mhm.
business here in this region. So I want to go back to one of to your question earlier, Crystal, about what small businesses can be doing right now. So one of the things I would say is, there's a lot of different types of projects out there that are supposed to be happening, that are ready to start, that are happening, and more that will open up because of the infrastructure money that's being released. So small
Mhm.
businesses that want to work on maybe hospitals, because also nowadays the hospitals, all the construction that's happening on various hospitals to build hospitals, to expand or update hospitals, now has to also include local worker participation and small business, diverse business participation. So it's not only public projects, it's private projects. One of my
Mhm.
clients, actually, I helped another client win win the contract to build Cedar Sinai Medical Center in Marina Del Rey. So that's a $500 million project, and that project, again, is going to requires that project requires diverse business, small business, participation. Something that Cedar Sinai had never done before.
You
You know.
know,
Wow.
this is amazing because Theodora has an interesting story, and we probably won't call any names of the usual suspects because they'll know who they are. So we'll just tell the story about what happened. They treated her awful also on a project that she's working with them to try
Mm,
to secure with the owner.
mm,
And then they were going behind her back trying to cut a deal with the owner and trying to exclude her from the
mm,
project, even though she was a contact person and she was a person who was putting the deal together.
Wow.
Only to find out later on that the owner came to her and said, "We want to work with you and not those guys." So those things happen too, and it's just amazing. Not only she's got like a double whammy against her.
mhm,
She's black and she's woman. So
mhm,
we
Yeah.
got those two strikes against her,
mhm,
but the owner really didn't care. The owner cared about her expertise.
mhm,
So they said, listen, and they didn't even want to pay, not the owner,
mhm,
the contract,
Right.
the
Exactly.
prime that she was working with, right?
mhm. Right.
Mhm.
They didn't even want to pay her for the work, even though she helped them to put together the proposal.
Right.
And the
So
work,
so
and
now
did the work.
and so now you're the prime, right? So you
Yes.
go out and contract your own as the
Mhm.
prime and
Right.
subcontract out. Yeah, that's the way to go, girl.
Yeah, I think what it is, like I said, it's just the tremendous amount of disrespect for somebody who looks like me. That it's like, where would I get the audacity to
to,
do what
to,
I'm
to,
doing?
to
Where
think you can be a prime.
exactly, and it's like I've been doing, but the thing is, I've been doing that work for them, for decades. For
Yeah.
decades. I
Right.
didn't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm just gonna do this." I'm doing no, nothing like that. It was never like that. I mean,
Yeah.
But it,
I've been at this since '98, so it's not, um, no, it didn't wake up like that.
and
So,
isn't that always the case? You know they value the work that you add, the added
mhm,
value that you add to their company but
Completely.
then they don't want to respect you for what you do, because without you, then they may not be able to keep that contract, or wouldn't have gotten that contract in the first place,
Exactly.
because your work, I'm sure, speaks for itself, and I'm sure you've developed a reputation out there for your excellence, and for the services and your dedication to what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that's one of the reasons I that also I'm sure has had a lot to do with me not, for lack of a better word, learning how to toot my own horn, because
Ah,
I've learned best to put the work in front, have the
yeah.
work open the door, have the work speak more loudly, so that I could not and would not be denied. You know what I
Ah,
mean? I would not
okay.
be denied. I mean, you can, like, say whatever, whatever, whatever. But when you see the results, the results of the work that I've done, you know, um,
Yeah,
you
it
can't beat
speaks for
that with a
itself.
bat. No,
I'll
they
Right.
got to
You
speak for themselves.
I'll let you put the work out there and show them what you can do. I'll be in the background tooting that horn with both hands. Both hands, I'm tooting that horn.
but I am just so impressed with the work you've done. And so I think one of the questions I asked earlier,
Uh-huh.
if someone came to you, a young person that was maybe looking into going into urban planning, and I think I recently met someone that
Mhm.
was interested in urban planning, and what would you say that the key factors that they need to have in place if they were starting their own business?
I don't do urban planning, first of all, so
Oh,
I can't.
but well, more in the area of what you do in construction services.
Oh, okay. So in reference to what I do, I would say learn the construction business. Just learn
Okay.
how construction moves. Understand how construction um, operates. Because a lot of times, some people just think that, um, I don't know, they think that they can impose their views or their opinions onto um, the pace of a construction process, or the process of a of a construction
Mhm.
timeline and life cycle. That's not possible, because from the moment notice to proceed starts, and people start coming on site to work on a construction project, that project takes on a life of its own. And so it's important to actually understand what is construction,
Mm.
and then from there, if you have the heart to um, uh, en- help the community help to engage the community, then one of the things that I have done, and continue to do, is immerse myself with um, public participation types of ongoing training and practices and what have you, so that we know how to, like, listen to people, we know how to engage, pull people, so that they actually understand, they actually contribute, so people can, so their voices are heard and incorporated into into what the community needs. So that was one of the
Okay.
things that, for example, the practically every project that I've done has involved, I've pulled different elements, because, for example, what I did, for example, for USC Village is not what I did. I didn't do everything I did at USC Village during the construction of the renovation of the Rose Bowl. That was
Mm.
completely different. And so, but there were different aspects, different degrees of how to engage the community during the renovation of the Rose Bowl that applied to USC Village. So you kind of, like, it's not a cookie cutter. What we do is not a cookie cutter deal. And so
Mm.
that, to me, is part of the appeal, because, you're always, for lack of a better word, customizing the solutions, the
Ah.
diversity and
now,
inclusion solutions for each project.
now, two points I also would like to add to that list, Crystal.
Mhm.
One is to really know or learn. I'd say learn. learn and understand the best practices, right, in that
Oh
space.
yeah.
They need to understand that. The second thing is to know who the stakeholders are and make sure you understand what those requirements are for those stakeholders, because
Right.
that's the part that really either gets omitted and people get into trouble over. Because once you
Mm,
don't understand, like when I was at LACCD, LA Community College District, the stakeholders were the board, the board of directors. They wanted
mm,
certain things. And then you got the project managers on the colleges. There are 9 colleges. So
Mhm.
you got to know what their requirements are. Then you got the primes, and
Mhm.
the primes, they play their little politics and all of that. And then you got subs. You see what I'm saying? So you got to
You
know
got
who
the
the
community.
stakeholders
You're
are.
forgetting the
Yeah,
residents.
and the community, right, right.
Yeah, you're forgetting the
So
community.
so once you know who the stakeholders are, what their needs are, what is it they want out of this, and
Mhm.
you can provide those things, then you are in good. Some people are going to are going to come in and play interference and try to obstruct what you're doing.
Mhm.
And it's key for you to understand, okay, I know who these people are, I know what they're trying to do. How damaging are they to the project if I do certain things? you know? So that's a key component also.
And that's
that's
it.
fantastic.
Thank you, Gilbert, for articulating that. And that's part of actually the relationship and the strategic alliances that I mentioned earlier, and just getting to know the community where the project is being built or is going to be built.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason, to your point, Crystal, there's no, for lack of a better word, uh, the exact, let me get it out if I can,
Oh,
the
right.
exact set of rules, there we go, procedures or practices that that apply to, let's just say, the project. I'll use one of my other last projects. So one of the projects, LAX Central Utility Plant, that was like a massive project,
Mm-hmm.
and it had all kinds of players involved, just all kinds of stakeholders, versus I don't know, Camp Pendleton Replacement Hospital or something, I mean, there
Okay.
goes another
Uh-huh.
project. So what you did on that project, um, given that, let's just say Camp Pendleton had the small business goal, crazy numbers. I think it was like 50% local, small business participation. And then you've got LAX, Central Utility Plant, which's got like, I don't know, I think it was like a 25% small business, participation goal that was broken down in two parts. There was the architecture, and then there was the design, and then there was the actual construction. I mean, the way you help in the implementation
Mm,
of meeting all those goals, it can be cookie cutter.
right.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
construction, but there's no way those two projects, the way you address those two projects, could be cookie cutter, or any project.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, yes, to
Yeah.
Gilbert's point, definitely know who you're talking to,
Yeah.
and what are their interests, and serve them.
Yeah.
You need to
And I would
serve them.
imagine even as a female though, because again, it's a male dominated world there that you're in. So even as a female, you had to. Um, I will give this to you. You must have the patience of Job. Because I am sure that you make it sound very simplistic and very easy, but there is no way. You
Mm-mm.
have to be able to juggle all those balls and keep
Mhm.
all of those bodies happy at the same time and be respected in that space. So again, your work
Mhm.
speaks for that, obviously, and obviously you're good at what you do, so
Thank
that
you.
when you did become a prime, you were well respected in the field. I I take my hat off to you, young Miss Lady. You are a dynamo.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, Crystal, before today's show, you didn't know that she was such a powerful dynamo out there in the industry, huh?
Well, I knew she was very because she's come on, like I said, in the since the pandemic. That's really actually when I met you throughout the
Mhm.
pandemic, because you've come on multiple platforms that I've been on, and usually when she does speak, she is pretty profound and very matter of fact. So I did know that.
However,
But and I mean, she on the community briefing, she's provided some very valuable information. She's put in the chat, and people have reached out and actually wanted that information, but never had any idea of
Mhm.
who and what she did behind the scenes and what
that's
Mhm.
that really truly meant
that she
in
had her
actuality.
fingerprints all over this city, huh?
Right.
all and if you look at it this way, you can look at it in a three-dimensional way. You got the forum, you
Mhm.
got USC, and you got the Rose Bowl. Those
Mhm.
three areas alone are three powerful historical
Mhm.
landmarks
Right.
in this
But
city.
then the East LA High School and the Metro, I saw something in there. Flora, is that
Mhm.
Flora you were involved in, and as
Right.
well as the Lucas Museum. I mean, those are all beautiful projects,
Yeah.
and and projects that will be in this city for years to come. And so I take my hat off to you,
And
my
and
friend.
and and you know, Crystal, going back to one point that was raised earlier by you and by Theodora, where you said, so how how are you being treated by some of these primes? When they say, well, there isn't any eligible or qualified businesses out there. These are some of the reasons why they say those things, because
Mhm.
they don't know the qualification, the track
Mhm.
record, or the footprint and fingerprint of these small businesses, what they've done. So
They
they
don't
Hmm.
start
care.
they
They don't
start
care,
making up
Gilbert.
stories. Yeah, they start making up stories about why they're not eligible or
So
they're not good.
that tells me that we as a community need to one make sure that our businesses are operating in so that they are business ready and contract ready, which we all knew. But I
Mhm.
think there's more to it than that. I think there's
R-
stories have to be created at so that they too can feel empowered that
Mhm.
they can step up to the plate and bid on these jobs, because I think there's a lot of fear, and if someone tells me I'm not good enough eventually, and you tell me that often enough, I'm going to
Mhm.
believe that I'm not good enough, right?
Well,
So
that's why I brag every opportunity I get about
Mhm.
these small businesses, man, because eh, they may not want to tell their story, but I'm out there. I'm making. I'm saying, hey.
but and I understand, Theodora, because um I've been quietly just doing my work in the
Mhm.
community, helping where I help. You know, yeah, I probably in the last three, especially since we launched the show, people are much more aware of what I do because we're
Mhm.
here every week, right? And some of the other platforms that I've been on, but people don't know exactly. I mean, Gilbert knows because he's worked with me, but you just go about doing the work, right? You
Mhm.
have the
Mhm.
vision, you have the mission, and you're like, okay, this was my purpose for being on the planet. So I don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to go out and tell. And now, since this platform, and I have to say that since the online where we all had to interact with each other, we're
Mhm.
probably communicating with each other far more than we ever would have had. You and I didn't travel in the same circles, Theodora, until we went online.
Right.
Then that's when I Gilbert knew about you because you're in the same space that he operates in. But for me, mine was always on the outside, more of the small
Mhm.
business entrepreneurial pool. Not a lot of my business owners are involved in the construction trades, and so I wouldn't have learned about you. I may have maybe read an article here and there or saw you on LinkedIn, but to now get to know you, I've done that over this
Mhm.
past here, and people also have gotten to know me
Mhm.
because of what we're doing. So I think this was the best thing that could have happened to any of us. Personally, because now people, while we're quietly doing our life work, our purpose for being on this planet, then now people can see, and I'm seeing the results of that today. When people have hired me, contracted me to provide services for their population. But I do think that maybe in addition to preparing these businesses for your space, for that space to be available and to be contract ready or a business ready, then we also need to encourage and motivate them to be able to toot their own horn to a certain extent so that the powers that be can recognize that they do have the skill set and the qualifications in order to participate in these projects.
I
Sounds
absolutely
good.
agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And I think one of the things that um, that I'd like to see, I would love to help make this happen.
Mhm.
Going back to one of your points earlier, which was how do we get small businesses that want to participate on these projects to, jump in? So one of the first things is identify the projects you want to work on. And so
Mm.
those projects tell you what the requirements are. So let's just use LA County right now. LA County is using, LA County is going to start building the Harbor UCLA Medical Center. So that's a $2 billion project. And LA
Mhm.
County has gone out there and said that, they did all kinds of events and put all kinds of paperwork, all kinds of policies, all kinds of marketing declarations and this and that and the other, that they want small businesses, they want diverse businesses to help build this hospital. And so what the small businesses that are, for lack of a better word, listening to this podcast can do is, okay, show up, and let LA County know. So either,
Mm.
I think it would be, using this platform as an example, instead of, doing piecemeal. I'm thinking right now that, if a collective, number of small businesses show up in front of LA County and say, we want to participate on this project. We know that the GC, the general contractor, is going to buy the job out, and we want to make sure you know, we're in the mix. So
Mhm.
you've already said that you're looking for these small businesses. You're looking for us. So we're here. So we want you
Mhm.
to see us and know about us. That way, the general contractor, doesn't tell you that, they can't find us. And
Right.
Right.
the first tier contractors that the general contractor is going to hire, they too can tell you, owner and general contractor, that they can't find us, because guess what? We're right here.
Hmm.
So this is
Mm.
what I'm talking about, the small businesses identifying the various projects that they want to work on.
Okay.
And then from there, crafting a strategy that makes it so that, the stakeholders know who you are, and you submit your bids. So that
Mm.
way, so one of the things that I usually do for small, with small businesses, is when I used to work for one of my ex-employers, one of my ex-general contractors, is I would give, small businesses a blank contract so that they can study the contract, understand the
Mm.
contract, understand the terms of the contract. That way they're
Mm.
not a lot, because what one of the reasons I started doing that is because I remember way back when, I would see, this was years ago, like in the, early 2000s, I would see small businesses just sign a contract literally without reading it,
Ooh.
because they were just so excited to get the work,
Yeah.
and they would just sign the contract.
That happens 90% of the times.
Wow.
90%.
The
That's
first time I
scary.
the first time I saw that, I was so stunned. I froze. I mean, I just froze. I was like, "Do you know what you did? Do you understand what you did?" And it's not until like a problem comes up, then it's like, "Oh." Well, I didn't mean to. Well, no.
It's too late. You signed a contract and you didn't have it reviewed by an attorney. You didn't peruse it and have it. Yeah. Wow. All
Well, you
those
didn't
things
even
that,
discuss it. You can just to sit down with the project manager to say, you know what? I don't understand what this term means. What do you
yes.
mean by this? Like I remember one subcontractor, one small sub, he didn't even understand what the word indemnification meant. He didn't know what
Mm.
that was. So I'm
or
like,
Ah,
or
you got,
or force de jure, force majeure. When they see that in a contract, they don't know what that means either, and they just go along with it. You
they
know.
don't even ask. They don't even want to. It's like you don't know what it is, but you don't even ask, you don't even bother to ask, what is
right.
this?
Yeah,
What does
Right.
it mean?
because they think that if they ask questions, then the prime is going to say, "Give me back my contract. I don't want to give it
Right.
to you. I'll give
Exactly.
it to somebody
Exactly.
else."
That's not how it works. So just for small businesses that may be online, just for reference, when a GC sends when a GC and an owner, for example, are negotiating their contract, it takes them usually at least 30 days because they are negotiating the terms,
Mhm.
going back and forth to make sure that the
Mm-hmm.
terms make sense to both of them. Same thing between a first tier subcontractor and the GC. They go back and forth and make sure that they read. The first tier
Mm.
subcontractors have somebody on board, at least one person whose job is to read and understand the terms of the contract so that the company is not sold down the river. So, as a small business, if you don't like to read, small business owner, because
Mm-hmm.
now I'm talking to the owner. If you don't
Mm.
like to read, if you're not interested in reading, hire somebody who's going to read that contract for you and make sure that they talk with you so you understand each term. They don't have to, it doesn't have to be a one sit down, a one time go through a 5-page contract. No, nothing like that. It can be several times, but you have to
Wow.
understand each term that yeah, you're binding yourself to, you're binding your business to. And for
You
your
know,
own iteration, hey, I mean, when you look at somebody like, I want to use Kevin, we all know Kevin Ramsey. I
Ramsey.
mean, Kevin
Uh-huh.
Ramsey is now an attorney. Well, it's not an accident that he's an attorney. He has
Yeah.
learned over the years how to, understand. It's been through trial and error.
Yeah.
It's been through trial and error, but I don't think, we need to, you know, if somebody doesn't need to reinvent the wheel, why are you?
Right, exactly. And I'm
and
sure through experiences and challenges that he's also encountered. And I do know Kevin's story as well. And he too is a humbled individual that is very successful.
Yeah.
And his sister is, Tracy is right there with him. But you do have to do your study, but you cannot be. And I think this is a message out to all small business owners. We don't know everything, and we
Mm-mm.
can't
And you're not
we
supposed
can't
to know
pretend we're
everything.
not right. So you have to ask other people who are more proficient in that area. If Gilbert is proficient in that area, you're proficient in that area, schedule some time and say, hey, can you just take a look at this contract, or
Mhm.
what should I be doing? I really am interested in this project here. What should be my first and second steps?
Mhm.
What should I do? And so I can be better prepared. So
Right.
reaching out to the peers and to your support team
Right.
in order to make sure you move into that, migrate into the space that you want to be in. Theodora, you are amazing. And this has been awesome. And I've learned so much about you. And of course, Gilbert and I, wherever we can be of assistance, um, let's make sure that we make that happen, because I think we could do some great stuff together. And so that when you go to identify those local hires and businesses,
Mhm.
diverse businesses, that we can make sure that those businesses are qualified. So even if they have an interest and they're not ready, then maybe Gilbert and I can work with them to get them ready for
Mhm.
whatever. Because I hear there's tons of contracts coming up in this city to 2025
Yes.
or 2026 or whatever,
mhm.
30 now, because we got the pandemic.
Right.
Hmm.
No, no, we've got at least until through the Olympics, because when you look at the fact that, okay, so LADWP is completely changing all its infrastructure. LAX is going gangbusters, with all the expansion and upgrades up there.
You got
Burbank
Metro.
is doing, yeah, Burbank, Long Beach Airport, all the airports are expanding, all the hospitals are updating, and I mean all the major hospitals. So
Hmm.
that's tons. And then we've got a ton of private projects. And then just yesterday, the city of LA announced that they're going to be building over 50,000, units,
Wow.
housing units, I, I forget what the time frame was, but it's ridiculous. So because of this measure, all these propositions that we've all passed through our taxes and stuff, they've got to have, all this housing, and all these housing projects, all these high rise housing projects, whether they're privately financed by
Mhm.
private developers or by the city or by the county, they all have local hire and small business, diverse business participation obligations.
You know,
So
there
to your
Okay.
is there is a project that not too many people are talking about right now downtown LA, the Angel Flight Stairs.
Angel's
Remember that?
Landing, Angel's
Angel's
Landing.
Landing.
Yeah.
That's what, a six, is it a 6 billion or $1.5 billion project? And
It's going to
that,
be yeah.
it sounds like there are some city funds involved in that. So
Mhm.
just so a lot of people know, because I don't think a lot of people know this. Theodora, you and I know this because we've been in the space,
Mhm.
and we keep our nose, close close to the meat, right?
True,
We keep
true.
our nose close to the meat. So whenever a project is being launched or discussed, the first
Mhm.
thing we want to know, is there any city money in it, any
Mhm.
county money, any federal money? Because if those three entities are in there, then they have to get either minority, woman owned, veteran, or
Mhm.
some small business
Mhm.
participation in there. That's the first thing. But when many of these big companies come into town and they build their project and they spend their money on it,
Mhm.
then we can't really say, "Hey, you got to put this in."
Actually,
Yeah.
Gilbert, it's changed because now
Oh, they've changed it.
The city of LA, if you're going to build a project that exceeds, I believe, $25 million,
Wow.
you local hire is you have to
Wow.
privately, you have to adopt the city's project
That
order
is
agreement.
good. That
Yeah.
is good. That is good.
So
Because
yeah, that's
before they wouldn't care.
no.
Because you remember that little dance they did with
Oh yeah.
with the Korean building downtown that they
Mhm.
now claim is the
Oh
tallest building downtown, right? That's where the
yes.
Wilshire Grand used to be, right? So now, because the Koreans brought in their money and they say,
Mhm.
we're going to dictate how this project is going to be built, the city put a little money in it, but then they acted like they
Hey,
couldn't make decisions.
Gilbert, it was not a little money. It was $300 million.
well, well, in terms of the final cost of the project, it was a
Okay.
little. It was a
Okay.
little. So they figured they didn't have a say so. So I guess after that is when they probably came in with this requirement, right? That if it's over 25 mil, then you have to do local workers. So I'm glad for that. I'm very
Yeah.
glad the city stepped up.
Yes. So we just need
Fantastic.
more enforcement. And so I
Yeah.
think one of the things that this forum can, serve is, if you guys would, at some point will consider it,
Yeah.
either this or community briefings or both, where, we actually, and I'm happy to help.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
volunteer to help.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Uh, I would be happy to just literally make sure that, when any of these projects, any of these major projects that are happening in our region that are saying that they're going to, facilitate local worker hire, facilitate diverse business inclusion, we actually, invite the owner and
Yes.
ask them to show the community how their project is either meeting or exceeding the goals, or if what the plan is, You know,
So we
it's
can start. We can start with the angel. What's that called? Angel what?
Angel's
Angel
Landing.
landing.
Angel. We can start with that one because that's in the works right now. So let's do that one.
And interestingly, it's black owned. Angel's
Oh,
Landing, the developers, both developers are black.
Yeah.
oh, actually, that would be very nice. We accept your offer, my dear, and we would love to do that. One of the things that Gilbert and I, finding out what it is that they're looking for. But
Hmm.
one of the things that Gilbert and I are kicked off, and you can see it in my background and my shirt. It says "Turning Your Business No's to Yeses,"
Yes.
is making
Yes.
sure our businesses are ready.
Yes.
So that would be great because they can see then what the projects are, and then be able to say, "Oh, okay." There's something on the horizon that I should
Hmm.
be preparing myself for. So usually these projects take a while to come to fruition, so you have plenty enough time to fix the turn those no's around and create those yeses.
Yes.
Exactly. So one of the ones that I definitely want to put on your radar is Metrolink. So
Okay.
Mm.
Metrolink is completely supported by, tax dollars, but we don't see any participation from,
Minority woman
yeah,
disadvantaged.
Oh, we
yeah, we
would
need to
love
see.
that.
Because
And
because
even
they have,
having
yeah, they have the direct, sorry to cut you off, but Metrolink has like but my understanding is that they have the contract to um to shepherd people from from all over Southern California to Inglewood for, I don't know if it's the Olympics or the Super Bowl or both. You know what I mean?
Mm.
oh, okay.
And
Mhm.
so yeah, it would be helpful to know what is your plan and how are you executing that plan, because we want to make sure that, I mean, not that we are, well, as taxpayers, as
Yeah.
taxpayers, we want to make sure that we're not, the semantics of, oh yeah, we are going to do, we're all about the community and this and that and the other, but there's nothing to show for any kind of inclusion, any kind of outreach, those kinds
Mhm.
Theod-
of
Theodore,
stuff.
do you know the name of that Metrolink project? Do you know
No,
the
it's
name?
not one project. It's the entire,
Oh,
enterprise.
it's multiple
It's
projects.
yes, because
Okay.
Metrolink. Interestingly, Metrolink travels. From what I remember, it's over 500 miles.
Mm.
So they're going from, I want to say, from Ventura all the way down to,
I
I
think
know
all the
they
way
go to San Diego.
To Inland Empire, right?
No,
in,
no, they
yeah.
go down.
No,
They go
further.
down.
They go to San Diego
They
actually.
go all the way to
No,
San
Oh,
Diego.
so they go north
almost
to
to the
south.
Mexican border, don't they?
Yes,
All
So
the way
they
they
to the
go
do.
Mexican border.
they go north to south. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, they
So that
have
so
all
we
the
should.
points in between, and so and they're completely, supported by, you know, tax dollars, and they're going to be getting more infrastructure money to expand
Yeah.
their
From the
line.
federal from the Biden federal
Yeah,
program.
all that stuff. So
Theodore, you have been such a breath of fresh air on this show. This is phenomenal. I told you you were going to be dynamic. I told you you were going to be a
Yes, yes.
star.
But that's because she's so
see,
humble. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's see if we can get them both on the business zone and as well as on the community briefing. And on the business zone, we'd love, being that you're local hire and diverse business, you would join us so that we
I'm
can make
happy to.
sure we are asking the right questions and making sure it's powerful enough that we can then get it out to the people that could participate in. Gilbert, what do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea. It's an excellent idea.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
just having those people from Angel Landing being there, knowing
Mhm,
that there are minorities as well.
mhm,
And Crystal, you're part of RBD, so you're prepping those minorities for those projects.
mhm.
That's an easy and great conversation there.
I think so. So we're gonna work that out, my dear, and then we definitely can get them on the community briefing as well. Here
Yeah.
we can add, we're a little bit more flexible and more relaxed, and they'll feel more relaxed. And then we'll get them over to the community briefing. But I think it would be excellent, and I think and this is why we have these platforms are here, because I think media is our next way to get that messaging out to our communities uh, that they will resonate with, and
Oh,
we and
look like we got a viewer from Russia here online.
okay.
Look at that.
Uh,
NeoSync site.
Yeah, so I think
Amazing.
that would be absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about that, Matt, Theodora. I think that would be awesome. You're an expert in your space. Gilbert's an
Mhm.
expert in his space, and then just making
And you
sure,
too, Crystal.
and I'm
You too
expert in
are an
what I
expert
do
in your
as
space.
well. And that's why we want. This is why we created this platform, is so that
Yes.
we can bring those experts to our small business community and resonate how important it is for them to make sure that they're doing
Mhm.
proper business, because there's so many opportunities out here that
Mhm.
they're missing out on, and we can't change the economic fabric of our community, of our people, without being able to generate revenue.
You know,
We
Crystal,
can.
Exactly.
I really want to make a point to all the viewers and listeners here. First of all, I want to say you're listening to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4 or 4:30, depending on how interesting you make the session. The one thing I want to say, there is value in diversity, and I'm sure many of the contract providers know this. There's value in diversity, and we're not just asking you to give us a handout or anything. We don't care for
Mhm.
your handout. We don't want it. What we want is for you to spread the wealth, give us a piece of the pie so we can help to build the community.
Mhm.
What Crystal and I are doing on this show is to take small businesses, build their capacity, make them ready. So we're not asking you to give our small businesses an opportunity so they can fail or your project can fail. That's not what we're trying to do. What
Mhm.
we're trying to do is to show you that these small businesses have talent, these small
Mhm.
businesses are qualified, and they can
Mhm.
do it, because we would never present you with small businesses that are not ready. That's
Right.
not our thing.
Right.
So
Right.
we just wanted to say that.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying
Right.
that. That exactly echoes what I was saying earlier. That when we hear resistance, it's only because people are being disrespectful. And so the fact that you are reiterating that this is not um, that kind of
Yeah,
endeavor,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very, 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 very heartened by that.
yeah,
And thank you for doing that again, because we can't say
yes,
it enough. And we
yes,
also, another thing is, the biodiversity that exists in nature. It's
yeah.
not it's not an accident that there's diversity in nature.
Right,
And
right.
when we are hearing about rainforest burning, and the fires and all that kind of stuff, the devastation from the fires,
Mm-hmm.
it's because the diversity that exists in nature
Yeah,
is being eliminated. When you eliminate diversity, there is no growth, there's
yes,
no
Right.
strength,
right.
and we just nature,
Yeah.
no human is smarter than nature. Okay,
That's
Right.
right.
no
Exactly.
human is smarter than nature. I
That's
know some
right.
people will dispute that, but nature has been along here, has been around longer than us,
Mm-hmm.
And
and
it
will be
shows
long.
itself. It shows up and shows out to make sure you
Right.
understand
Right. That's true. That's
that
true.
there is no human smarter than nature. We
Yeah.
just saw it through hurricanes and 5, 10 days of
Yeah.
great rain here, and it
Yeah.
is what it is. Theodore,
Right.
we want to thank you so much for being here on the show. It's been awesome. This is two shows actually, because we can split it up, and I think it's been some very, yeah, some incredible conversation that we've had. We will definitely share it with you. I'm going to do some editing on it and share it
Yes.
with you. And then let's talk I would love to have Metro on the show and see how we can make that happen. Whoever the two contractors that are doing Angels Flight, so that we can start bringing to
Mhm.
the people, this is what's going on and this is
Mhm.
what you need. Sometimes you need to have that carrot, right? In order to
Mhm.
get people excited and
Mhm.
motivated to want to do better, but to
Mhm.
know that there are tons of opportunities there
Mhm.
that really are life changing.
Mhm.
And we can change the economic status in our communities, um, if we actually become very proactive about it. So we thank you for the offer, and you've been awesome. And we're so pleased to have you here on the show.
Crystal,
And
also put your contact information in the chat, please, to let our viewers and listeners know that they can reach out to you as well.
Mhm.
If we didn't mention this before, Crystal is a guru when it comes to bookkeeping and
Mhm.
accounting. She does forensics on your books. She makes sure it's in order so you don't get in problems with the IRS. So I just want you
right.
guys to know that. So as a small business, you need that ally. You need someone like
Mhm.
her looking in your books and making sure that you're in order. And on my side, you need someone who can help you with preparedness and infrastructure development, your back office. That's what I do for you. So if you guys need any assistance with your back office and to that effect, you can, my information is here as well. You've got 626 533 1186, or you can call me at 888 My email is also up there, guys. Make sure you take advantage. There's a lot of opportunities coming down the pike, and you really, really need to take advantage. This is the only way you're going to grow. This
Mhm.
pandemic is threatening us again. It's telling us we're probably going to stay inside again. The governor is probably going to tell us there's a shutdown again. And we don't want you don't want for landlords and mortgage company to say, hey, we're going to take your house or your place because you don't have money. So make sure you guys go out and get these opportunities. Now, remember, what we advocate on this show is instead of transactional deals, we want you guys to get contractual deals. Because a transactional deal is you get a deal today and you're not sure if you're going to get one more tomorrow, next week, or
Mhm.
next month. With a
Right.
contractual deal, you get a contract, and that contract is probably good for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And now you can start planning and you can hire people. You can hire people in the community out of that. With your transactional deal, not so much because you don't know if the money is coming in. So those are the things we do. And Theodora, our very special guest from Mindful um, in
Integration, con-
integration construction services. She can provide you some guidance not only with local worker hiring but also construction services. She's been in the community for a long time.
Mhm.
You guys look her up. Theodora, look her
well,
up.
I put her contact
She's
information
no
in as we
joke.
go. No,
She's
So
she
no
is
joke.
not a joke.
thank you. So the last part of my company's name. So mindful is intentional. Integration means to make whole. So our
Oh,
we intend to make whole the project.
there
You
you
know.
go.
So the GC and all those other folks are doing a lot of the structural stuff, the engineering, the actual construction. We come in to connect, help connect the dots. So we put the human face, our work puts a human face onto the project.
And we're intentional about it.
Proactively, yes, very intentional and focused, relentlessly focused on making that happen.
A
That's what I'm
fantastic.
talking about. So
You
guys, you
have been
hear that? You hear that, guys?
awesome guest. We're so humbled ourselves and so honored that you are here.
Well,
And
both of you are humble. You and Theodore are humble. I'm not. I'm not humble. I'm tooting your horns. I'm going out there. I'm advocating. I'm making noise. I'm making noise. I'm the person knocking that can about you guys.
So one thing I want, okay, so one thing I do want to brag about is
okay.
that my project, the project I worked on years ago, it's called Augustus Hawkins Senior High School. It's in South LA. It was the
Oh,
first high school first LA, not so much high school, the first LAUSD project to reach 50% local worker participation. The
Mm-mm-mm.
Wow.
first. Now, LAUSD had been building project, schools for like 10 plus years. And so when I worked on that project, and it happened in 2009, started in 2009, 2010, that project was the first to reach 50%. And that was
Mm.
something that contractors had been telling LAUSD for, for more than a decade that that could not, that it couldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put together plans and my team supported me and we made it happen.
See,
All
that's
righty.
that's a good bragging point right there.
So there it
There you
is,
go.
There
guys.
it is. There it is
And
right
so just
there.
like I said, she bragged on it. So fantastic. You've been awesome, my friend. And
Thank you.
so we're gonna wrap up the show. We've gone 2 hours today, but we want to thank
we've
you
we've
so.
never gone 2 hours
No,
before.
we had never
Never.
gone 2 hours. 2 hours used to be our platform, but like I said, this was two shows. So I'm gonna edit it so it will be two shows. And we want to thank you so much, and we look forward to doing some other stuff with you throughout this year
Okay.
and making some of these, bringing some of these people to the platform, and love for you to join us and
Okay.
asking those questions and getting our people ready and prepared in order to for what the future is what's on the horizon for them. So it's been awesome. Thank you so much, and we so appreciate it. With that, we're going to Gilbert. Anything? I have lots of classes going on. You guys can reach out to me. I'm going to start posting a lot of my classes that I do at Vermont Slauson as well as the Los Angeles Urban League. I have some classes coming up in February with them, Vermont Slauson and the new Women's Business Center. And of course, you guys check out the community briefing every Thursday at 11 a.m. That's streams live on our Recycling Black Dollars Facebook page, as well as I'm on another podcast called the Community Conversations on the Patio. We actually talk about retirement and not
Mm.
being that guy and not being able to retire with no money when you get to that place. Some of us think our retirement. I don't know how they think we're gonna retire, but those are conversations. So that's what I'm doing. Gilbert is doing his thing over at the Los Angeles Urban League,
so
entrepreneurship.
so I want to make a quick announcement, Crystal. So
Okay.
the Los Angeles Urban League have been given a grant through the SBA, and this grant is called the Navigator Community Navigator Program. It's a pilot program. So, what's going to happen over the next 90 days? We're going to put together a series of services for small businesses. All small businesses within our service area, meaning Los Angeles and adjoining cities, can participate in this program. Now, all you got to do, if you're a small business and you're registered, you got a business license, you register with us or give me a call and I will get you set up in the program. So, over the next 90 days, we're going to have 7 classes that we're teaching. The first one is grant readiness, getting your business grant ready so you can apply for grants. We're going to have business compliance and best practice. Then we're going to have cash flow management with guess who? No other than Crystal, the guru Mitchell. She is going to help you guys with your bookkeeping. Then we're going to have pricing, show you how to do pricing. Then marketing your business through the digital means and branding. Then the class number 6 will be how to make sure that your bookkeeping is in compliance. I guess, again, guess who that's going to be with? Crystal, the guru Mitchell. She's going to show you guys how to understand QuickBooks, and if you're a non-bookkeeper, how you can really get your book set up. And then the final class would be certifications. And these certifications will be one local certification, but most of them are going to be SBA certifications. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do those certifications, how to become eligible for it, and how to apply for it. So these are classes that the SBA is paying for. So you guys don't have to pay for it. And then we're going to have one-on-one coaching with you guys, help you to get your back office in order so that you guys can get money later on from the SBA and other grants that the Urban League has. So that's what's coming up. And I'm going to be doing outreach and marketing on this starting next week.
Oh, all righty then. You guys have been tuned in to the Business Zone with Crystal.
And Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic.
And we had a powerful guest today, and you are?
Theodora Oyie with Mindful Integration of Construction Services.
And so we want to thank you guys for tuning in today. You'll be able to see this replay on Facebook, and it's on Facebook, also YouTube, and any of your favorite podcasting channels. It will be up on there tonight. So go back and listen. There's some key factors and key points, and take some notes and reach out to us so we can help you out. So with that, Gilbert, we're going to tell everyone, be safe this weekend. The pandemic is raging again, so keep masked up. Dr. Mays from UCLA indicated that you should do a actual water test with your mask. You should take your mask and you should put water, let drip water in it. If it happens to not drip out, you can be guaranteed nothing's coming in.
Oh, that's a good test. That's a good test. I'm going to have to try that one.
Yeah, so check your mask. If you don't have an KN95, then check your other mask. I got all kinds, but make sure that that water doesn't sip through. And if water doesn't sip through, a virus is not coming in and infection is not coming to you. So be safe, social distance, take care of yourself and your family. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, please go out and vaccinate. Listen to the beginning of this show and last week, and Gilbert will tell you about his COVID experience. You do not want to duplicate it. Trust me. And we are out, and we will see you all next Thursday. Next Friday at 3:00. We have a great guest coming in from the American Tennis Association, Mr. Robert Foster. He's going to talk about the history of the ATA, and what it has done for Black tennis players around the world. So
sounds great to me.
Sounds good. So Gilbert, we are out. You want to hit our...
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.